Okay, part 2 of why homosexuality is wrong. It creates class struggle. Now, you might wonder how this is if I'm discriminating against gays, how it can stop class struggle. It's because gays create their own class struggle. Gays want to define themselves as all sorts of things. Homosexual, bisexual, transsexual, pansexual. What does all of this mean? Do you think the kind of person that is pansexual and is only interested in romance is the sort of person that would sleep around with any gender? More so, do you think society is capable of romance when you can leave like 100 fucking comments on my YouTube about what a horrible person I am and all these ridiculous insults and slander? You people are fucking morons. But, you know, there's reasons why I oppose. I didn't wake up one morning to be like, you know what, I'm gonna hate homosexuals today. It didn't work like that. Homosexuals have created the class struggle within society because they want to make the genders not obsolete but more concrete. They want to blur the gender lines on purpose to create all these different variations of man and woman, which is horrible. That is the most horrible thing you could possibly do. That'd be even worse than what we have now of, just men and women are above men in the court system. They want to make it to where, there's all these minor differences, and you're supposed to know these differences. Oh, I can't call him a queer. He wants to be called, homosexual light or whatever. I don't care. You're a sexual deviant. It doesn't fucking matter what you are. You're not contributing to the genetic code. That's all that matters. That's another thing. I'm sick of homosexuals blaming heterosexuals for child rape. That's all on you. And you want to know why? Because a heterosexual male or heterosexual female would not be attracted to a minor. A child is basically an eunuch, a blob of genderless mush that can only exist for the sexual pleasure of some mutant that only thinks about the release of sex and not about procreation. Homosexuals constantly go against their genetic evolution. A man or a woman wants a woman or a man. They want someone to procreate with. That is the natural response. That's how we continue this species. To go away from that is to be homosexual, or a more accurate term, a sodomite, because there are many different types of ways to be a sodomite, but ultimately, that's what it is. It is an alienation from heterosexuality. Some people get this, but not nearly enough, apparently. And there's other... Most homosexuals are some kind of criminal. This statistical evidence proves this, and whether or not you want to believe it, too bad. Just do even a hint of research, and you will find that homosexuals are usually rapists, serial killers, child molesters. They abuse animals, they abuse their families. All domestic violence, pretty much all crimes in general can be linked back to homosexuality. And I'm not talking about petty crimes here, like, stealing from a register. I'm talking about hardcore crimes here that involve actually hurting another person for selfish pleasure. Homosexuals are sociopaths. They get pleasure out of other people's pain. Or they feel like if someone else is getting between them and their pleasure, they will take them down. It is not a matter of they see you as a human being. It's a matter of they just see you as a means to fulfilling themselves. And this is exactly the opposite of communism. While communism has, in some respects, treated humans as a means to an end, it's for the ends of themselves as a collective. For example, a lot of women, especially feminists, are going to be really pissed about this, but it is not the man's job to be a father. The men did not evolve to be nurturing and caring and to take care of the children. A man's job is to be an innovator, a creator, a builder, a soldier, anything that requires thinking or using your hands. The man cannot procreate. The man does not have a uterus. So why would he need to, take care of the children for? That's a woman's job. A woman has a uterus. She can have fucking kids, so she needs to go out and have them for the purpose of our species. Each according to his ability, each according to his need. Women have the ability to have kids, therefore they should have kids. And since they need an environment to protect them to have kids, we should give them that protected environment. We should build facilities where women can specifically exist in there to procreate, and they continue to procreate. When they have another woman, train them, put them in the facility to be a procreator. They're basically incubators until they reach menopause, in which case maybe legally then you can define them as a man, but up until then they are just incubators. And it's not the man's job to look after his kids and care for them, because he doesn't have any gains from that. It doesn't benefit the species as a whole to worry about your kids individually. You know why they did that? Because capitalism has always been about inheritance. The children inherit the fortune of the father, and he gives them their land and whatever company he owned. And when we do away with capitalism, we're going to do away with that. So there's no reason to have the parent-child figure. And that kind of relationship is going to be done away with. So the man has no need to want a family or to get himself involved in a family. He is to keep himself ambivalent at all times and just procreate for the purpose of making more children for the future. More people. We need more people. That's it. And just go out and do his thing, whatever that thing is. And I don't know how to put this more simply than that. Men have a specific role to fulfill, and women have a specific role to fulfill. And it doesn't make them inferior or superior. It's just that's the way things work, and it works efficiently. It's worked for thousands and thousands of years, and now all of a sudden we want to do things differently. And, communism isn't just a political philosophy. It's a scientific theory. It is more of a scientific fact. It's just a fact we're not applying. That, there's a certain way the human race needs to function if we're going to survive. But people don't want to listen, so in most likelihood we will all die. Thanks a lot, homosexuals. Thanks a lot, capitalists. So, that's all I have to say about that. I don't even know how to say this. Women are not to be looked at as, anything more than what they can produce. And men, because they have a more diverse array of things they can produce, we have to give men a little more leeway. We have to wait for them to find their place in life, and then, they can be an artist or be a scientist or a lawyer or whatever. Because men evolved to be diverse. Men evolved to be, both physically strong and mentally strong, because we don't reproduce. So that's our only outlet to protect the species, is to do whatever it is abstractly that we do. Whereas with women, their only fucking worth is how good looking they are to motivate us to want to have sex with them and then push out a baby. And even the good looking part they really don't have to do, because I really don't give a fuck if a woman is butt ugly or gorgeous as long as she's making children. Personally, I don't know if I'd want to do some ugly bitch, but if she's making babies, you did your job as a woman. You get a sticker, So a lot of people are going to come down on me against that. They're going to say that they're going to make up shit. They don't even know what the hell that is, because that isn't fascism. That isn't, some other weird bullshit you come up with. That isn't monarchism. That isn't actually any form of government. We have never in existence had a form of government like that, where, men specifically go out and do things, and women specifically stay at home and make fucking babies. That's never happened before. And that's precisely the reason that it's probably correct. It's actually quite similar to Henlon's Starship Troopers. I mean, there's a few differences, obviously. Obviously, Starship Troopers was actually more sexualized. They actually took that concept and made it more where they marketed women. But it's similar. Actually, I respect Robert Henlon's material quite a bit. That's all I have to say.